Hi. I thought I would do a video on where I've come from, and my history, I guess. So I thought I would split the videos into like pre-medical interventions. So this one is before I went into the services, I guess. Um, and then I'll do a video on my experience with the services and things like that, which I'm still obviously, going through. But this is more like my history and where I've come from and my teenage years and things like that. But yeah, so I am Mary and my middle name's Hannah. Mary Hannah, I quite like that. But anyway, that isn't too important. I'm 22 years old and I have 7 other siblings, so there's 8 of us all together. There's 4 girls and 4 boys, which is quite nice. And I grew up with my mummy and daddy, and they are the most amazing people ever. They have been brilliant and have really looked after all of us, and I couldn't have asked for a better childhood and upbringing. But yeah, so that's kind of my family, and you'll probably hear me talk a lot about my family because they are the most important thing to me. They mean the world to me and are the reason why I'm sitting here today, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. But yeah, so basically, for the past, let me think, 11 years or so, I have been struggling with an eating disorder, and it's been a very slow progress. It's not been a severe eating disorder for that length of time. There was a long time I kept it a secret, and I will kind of weave in and out of when my parents were more aware of things and things like that. But I guess my story starts when I was 3, when I believe was the first negative thought I had and I was very aware of, and kind of go from there. I'm not going to tell you every single year of my life because there's a lot of good things that happened in my life. These are just things that were triggers and things that were hardships in my life and what have has been part of my journey, the journey that I am to today. But yeah, so when I was 3, my daddy and my other siblings and we were walking to the park, and a lady who had severe mental health issues, we were walking, and she came up to me and started to kick me, and she had a knife in her hand, and it was a very overwhelming experience. And my dad got in the way, and she only kicked me like properly once, but she really tried to get to me. And my daddy used to always tell me about how he really remembers how much she wanted to get to me, when we have discussed it. Now I'm older, but I just remember feeling so overwhelmed and vividly thinking, out of all my siblings, she chose me. And she came up to me and she really wanted to get to me. She mustn't like me. And as a 3-year-old, you just think there's something wrong with you. So I just vividly remember thinking that, and just feeling like I was exposed and that there must be something wrong with me. And that was, I guess, the first time I had a negative thought that was quite destructive. And because my natural personality kept everything in and kept feelings bottled up and wanted to feel strong, I didn't really discuss it much. I cried at the time, but that was really it. But yeah, I guess that was the start of my negative thoughts. And then there was a lot that fed onto that as the years went by. Primary school years were grand. I was very perfectionistic. I had to be the best at everything. I had to win. And if I didn't, I punished myself. I would have like scratched myself till I hurt, and I just was quite self-punishing. I didn't have any confidence in myself, and when I did well, I felt like I could have done better. And I guess that's a very common thing that a lot of people with eating disorders have, that perfectionistic personality. So I was very clearly perfectionistic. But I really enjoyed school. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I did well. When I got to secondary school, there was that shift. I felt the shift. I felt the change. That like I had to be a big girl, and by the November when of me being in school, my papa took poorly and passed away, and I guess it was the first time I had to say goodbye to someone I absolutely adored, and it was just so painful. And because I wasn't very emotionally mature, and I'm still not, I just hid my emotions. I cried, but didn't cry much, and kept it all bottled up. And missed him a lot because he was an amazing man, and I remember feeling really alone in it, even though there was a lot of my family. I didn't maybe discuss it as much as I should have. This change in school kind of made things feel strange, and trying to find my feet and find friendship groups, and things were different. I felt like people didn't like me. Even if they did, I didn't feel like they did. And I guess just things didn't go the way my head wanted them to. So I guess to control things, I controlled my food and stopped eating meat and restricted a bit, but not like extremely. But I had clear very clear shift in my eating patterns, and restricted when I was emotionally upset, I guess. And with other things that happened, things that were uncontrollable and very scary, and things that I couldn't have changed, I then emotionally couldn't deal with it and restricted my food. When I was 13, a pretty bad thing that happened to me that no one could have changed. Nothing that my family or anything did. It was an uncontrollable event that wasn't nice happened, which I'm not ready to talk about. I haven't really. I've told people what happened, but I'm not really ready to chat about it and emotionally deal with it yet. And I hope that I get to the point that I will, but right now I'm just not at that place, and I think that's okay. But yeah, that happened when I was 13, but I didn't tell anyone. I went back home and acted like everything was fine. Meanwhile, inside I was feeling really horrible, and I remember for a period of time I stopped eating completely, and my parents were very aware. My parents were always aware that I had eating issues, but they were like, right, we need to intervene. So they intervened and basically just said, Mary, you need to eat to survive. And I did not want to upset them. I didn't want the attention to be on me. I didn't like the attention to be on me. And I didn't want them to be disappointed. So I was like, okay. And when they were watching, I ate. But that's when I discovered how to make myself sick. And throughout from then on, that was kind of, I would restrict until, and if I needed to eat, that's what I would have done. And I had real periods of bulimia and real periods of just restriction, anorexia, and it was just a battle I wanted to keep to myself. And it kept it a secret, and I was able to control what went in and what went out, and I was able to control the secret that no one knew, to control my weight so no one knew. And yeah, and I wasn't ready to talk about it. I kept it well hidden, and that was my life, that was my reality. And I just kept going. I kept going on with school and did my GCSEs, did my A levels, and I tried to hide it. And then when I was about 17, a lot of things happened. A lot of uncontrollable things happened all at once. Which I guess fed on to my clinging on to my eating disorder, because that was the one thing I could control. So basically, the year of my 17th so basically my 17th till the 18 and a half, so it was 17 to 18 and a half, that year was like, just, it was really crazy. 17 and 18, I guess, was just a crazy few years, with A levels and things like that. But my auntie Elizabeth, she wasn't our real biological auntie, but she was very close to our family. She passed away very suddenly, tragically, and she was someone I really cared about, and she was someone my mum really cared about, and my daddy really cared about, and my family really cared about, and we really cared about her family, and which we still do. But it was very tragic, and it was so sad, and there was a lot of feelings that I had, and I kept to myself. And then a week later, my daddy got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, and I just remember feeling like my world fell apart. Because my daddy was my strength. He was the man of my life, he was my daddy, and all the girls were real daddy's girls. We were real mummy's girls, but we had that friendship with my mum. My daddy we were just daddy's girls. We used to dance with my daddy, and when you see someone that you love and the strength in the family get so sick, it was just so hard. But yeah, so he was diagnosed, and it was just so hard. And I guess there was a lot of emotions behind that. And what do you do when you don't have your daddy in your life? I just couldn't comprehend it. And then by the May of that, so a couple of months later, two of the boys that we were fostering, one that we had for a year and one we had for 4.5 years, left. And I absolutely adored them. The wee boy that was there for 4.5 years, he's my brother, and I still see him as my brother. And it was really hard, but I guess because of my dad's treatment and things like that, we pushed that down with all the other stuff. And yeah, it was something we never dealt with. It just happened. And yeah, I guess there was a lot of craziness behind that. And then a year later, my auntie, who was probably our closest auntie, and very, very close to my dad and very close to me, and she was great. She was diagnosed with cancer at the start of like summer kind of time, and then so that was like after like my A levels, kind of after my A levels, and then by the November she had passed away, and it was just really, really hard. She was just she was amazing. Like, she was such a beautiful woman, and I guess just when death strikes a family, it just you feel like you could just crumble right there, but you have to keep going. But I guess through that time, there was so many events I couldn't control. I clung on to my eating disorder and how and my self-harm and things that I could hide, and that makes me really sad, but it's the reality. And I guess, yeah, there was a lot of stuff happening, but the one thing that helped me throughout that time was my eating disorder. But that was the one thing that was holding me back from blossoming, and it was slowly destroying me, and I didn't notice. And that's the really sad thing about eating disorders. It's slow and it's steady and it's destructive and there's nothing beautiful about it. My house, I guess, I kind of describe my life, my life like a house at that kind of time. And the outside looked brilliant. It looked perfect and clean and tidy, and everything was good. All the rooms in the house looked good, but the basement of the house was a mess. It was destruction. It was dirty. It was vile. It was disgusting, and the doors were closed so tightly and locked and bolted on that in that basement door, and you just could not go into my basement. And I kind of now can look back at it and see that that's been my life, and that's my history. That's what's happened, and there's nothing I can do about my history. But that's where I've come from. And I guess there's a lot of stuff that's happened since then. That's my life till I was 18. And I am very aware that has been 20 minutes and I'm very sorry, and if you've made it through this far, well done. But yeah, I just thought it's better having some context, and I hope this makes sense, and I hope I have been clear in how I've spoken. I know that I ramble, but I kind of thought I need to share a bit so then I can kind of go on from here. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I will do another video on kind of when I've been in the services. Okay, thank you. Bye.